In September 2004, EA Games and Maxis released the sequel to their groundbreaking strategic life simulator, The Sims, on Windows. After this game was met with a great level of critical and sales success, it only made sense that this title would spread to other platforms as well. One of these titles is definitely lesser known, but was a game that definitely had an impact on not just mine, but other people's childhoods in the early 2000s. Not just because of good gameplay, though it definitely had some, but mainly because of the unique level of strangeness and insanity found in this title. The Nintendo DS edition of The Sims 2 released in October 2005, and I can assure you it was nothing like the PC counterpart. The game begins with the player character arriving in Strangetown. Yes, this name suits the place perfectly, and with a now broken down car, you turn to the people of Strangetown to help. This game has a decent amount of character customization options for a handheld, and I found it only right to make my character a popularity-obsessed man with an impressive pink afro. The first character I met in Strangetown is the town's mechanic, Jebediah S. Jerky. Yes, most of the character names in this are impressive, so don't worry. He offered to fix my car for me, and then told me to check out the hotel as this might take a few days, and then the adventure begins. I quickly discovered that Strangetown is covered in gourds and nuclear rods for me to collect. These can be used for various different purposes, and there's other collectibles in the game such as skill points. Upon entering the hotel, I was greeted by the concierge who told me that the boss walked out the day before and the hotel has essentially been abandoned. I helped the concierge to restore the power to the hotel and found a strange note from an unknown person telling me that it is my destiny to run this hotel and help the people of Strangetown. So, free hotel. Nice. At this point I was given my first of 3 items that helped me to interact with the world. A vacuum cleaner. This item really doesn't help with the story much, but helped me to keep my hotel clean and make a little extra change. After cleaning, I met the mayor, who is having one of his quite common temper tantrums. In fact, most of this game is calming characters down from tantrums with this try-optional mini-game. The citizens of Strangetown are slightly mentally unstable, but in this town it kind of makes sense, to be honest. The mayor, once calmed down, showed me to my room and essentially just handed me a man who he only just met the keys to the city. I was then tasked with finding Tristan Legend, the man who was going to help me rebuild this hotel into a glowing tourist attraction for Strangetown. Tristan was having an existential crisis in the desert, but after calming him down, he agreed to help build a new casino to bring in some honest money to this town. Is this game set in Australia? I found an alien wreck at this point and then headed to the mayor's office to purchase the casino and offload some nuclear waste for cold hard cash. After checking out my new casino, the weirdness began. An alien leader named Emperor Zizzle decided it was time to invade Earth. This could prove to be an issue, but I was informed that a sketchy Italian man named Giuseppe had access to a weapon that could lay waste to alien kind, the mighty water gun. After purchasing this gun for what seemed like a steep 250 simoleons, I vanquished the Emperor and sent him back to whence he came. Then the mysterious note man stuck back in and commanded that I get this hotel to a 100% score, not asking much. After a nap and a quick explore around town, I was greeted by a first of 3 main story guests that would want to move into the penthouse suite. Frankie Fusilli gently threatened me and then checked himself in for a few weeks. He then decided I would become his errand boy and first requested that I give him 1,000 simoleons. So of course I headed down to my newly installed money laundering room and played a few games of one of the strangest card games I've ever seen to raise the cash I needed. After this he then requested I deliver a horse's head to the mayor, which subsequently blew up and set fire to his office. All going to plan for Frankie so far, but his biggest issue is now that my hotel was a dump. So I set to improving it. I checked a few guests in and out to raise some cash and then added a new room to the hotel. This pleased Frankie, and he made them the perfectly reasonable request for me to go and build him an underground vault for him to store his cargo. I built the vault along with another room for the hotel and then discovered that the cargo Frankie had mentioned was in fact a pallet of cash and a money printing machine. Ah, good. More dirty money for the hotel to manufacture. Frankie then reasonably asked me to go and purchase 1,000 simoleons metal detector and scour the waste for precious metals, which is fine because that is what I spend most of my free time doing anyway. My acquisition of metal pleased Frankie, and then he made another reasonable request of me and asked that I bury a chest in the desert for him. Of course, one shouldn't question Frankie, so I headed back to the desert and was abducted and probed by aliens. I then remembered to buy a shovel and headed back out there. Unfortunately, Special Agent Penelope Red had been tracking me and requested that I do not bury the chest and instead turn it over to her. I obliged, though I knew this would upset Frankie. I noticed the mayor had gone missing, but thought nothing of it and informed Frankie of the desert's success. Then Penelope questioned me and made me wear a wire whilst I went and angered my boss. Frankie then revealed to me in shocking fashion that this whole time he had been using my hotel for money laundering. If only he had told me, we could have combined our money laundering experts and made far more money. Penelope, overhearing this, came in and took Frankie away. At least this forced him to finally pay for his stay. Now, if you thought any of this was strange so far, it hasn't even begun to heat up yet. The next penthouse guest is a lady named Ava Cadavra. Cool. As of course anyone that stays in the penthouse gets the butler treatment from me, I set to helping her. First of all, she needed a conference room built for her company's yoga party. Thinking this was a great idea for our hotel, I then of course went ahead and erected a bovine shrine in the hotel's basement, just as she had asked. I checked a few guests in and out as a hotel manager does, and then went to check that Ava's yoga party was going well. To my shock and horror, it seemed Ava and a few other spellbound guests were worshipping the prime heifer. Very not yoga, if you ask me. Not one to judge, I accepted Ava's request to find a cowbell for her and set off my search. I retrieved the bell from a local cow, of course, and headed right back to Ava, hasty as to not ruin her well-planned corporate yoga retreat. Ava thanked me for the bell and not long later called requiring more help. This time, slightly less strangely, she asked me to go and obtain her some rotting eggplant-coloured lipstick. Alrighty. I headed back to the store and purchased some lipstick from the unsuspicious man, and then returned to the very thankful Ava. She then proceeded to berate me for being sad and self-centered, so I had to go away and think about life and my futile existence for some time. As I was outside considering my life, I received a phone call from an unknown number asking me to seek out a secret crypt in the desert at night. Not one to be afraid of being taken in the night, I headed straight out to the desert. One of the least abnormal events of this game took place as I met the mummy Horus Meneset the Ninth. He then warned me of a great evil plaguing the land. To help him take down the prime heifer, I must reunite his spirit and body for the first time in 3,000 years. How nice. I had to then find his sarcophagus in the desert oasis and bring it back to him, because of course. I dug up the coffin with the help of my metal detector and was also taken by aliens and rectally probed again, because of course. After discovering from this mishap, I placed the sarcophagus in the bedroom, as one does, and summoned Horus to the hotel. He then promised to fight the prime heifer's evil with his own evil for me. Sounds good. After a short wait, Horus advised me that the best way to stop the prime heifer before he entered his physical form would be to use the branding iron of utter destruction against him, because of course. I then received the branding iron from the sheriff's desk and headed back to Horus to help smite the evil cow. Horus then ordered me to shatter the golden idol with the branding iron, and I, ever the yes man, was of course very obliged. Ava was very upset about me doing this and said she would not pay for a stay at the hotel. Shame. Well, at least Horus is my friend. Jeb and I then smelt smoke, and I found out that lovely Ava had unfortunately set the penthouse suite on fire. Shame. Then this goddamn abomination entered the scene. This creation irks me so much I wish I had never seen it. I cannot quite put my finger on as to why I simply hate this thing that is called Optimum Alfred. Anywho, Alfred offered to clean the penthouse if I brought him a galvatronic power recharger, because of course he did. On my way to buy this device, Tristan Legend pulled me aside and thanked me for helping the town, as if I had doomed it in multiple ways already. Tristan then reveals to me that he is the mystery hero only known as the Raticator, and was now passing the helm on to me because of course. After checking out my new rat cave, I set back to my tasks. I bought the recharger only to discover that Alfred had already cleaned the apartment without saying it. I asked him to check the wiring in the hotel, so he of course in return asked me for 20 nuclear power rods. My burning hatred for this evil thing grows stronger and stronger every single minute. After spending far too much time scavenging far and wide for these rods, I returned to Alfred to give them to him. He then rudely took them and insulted humans. Stupid thing. Alfred then fried himself on nuclear energy and was in need of a nap. After his nap, he informed me of his disgust that we did not have satellite television at the hotel, and informed me he would install it himself without my permission. I hate him so much. He then became afraid because our hotel was infested with mole creatures and that I must remove them so that they would stop gnawing on the power cords. I then met this freak called Lord Mole, and he informed me that he was trying to save the hotel by chewing the cords. I stopped him, and he reacted very angrily and informed me that he would now be allowing Alfred to get away with his nefarious plans. Oh goodness. Then I returned to the lobby to find Alfred was announcing that the time of the robots was nigh. Who could have ever seen such a bad thing coming? Robots were invading the city, and the citizens were crying out for the Raticator to save them. I of course obliged and donned the rat suit in the rat cave. I then defeated all of the evil cleaning robots in the city and quickly changed back to my regular appearance. Alfred was very upset about this, and in what can only be described as a large tantrum, he locked himself in his room with his toys and refused to let anyone in. Emperor Zizzle then arrived because of course, and requested to speak with me. It turned out the antenna was interfering with the aliens, so he wanted to team up with me to take Alfred down. He requested that I obtain the blueprints for the antenna, and I took him up on this. I then got much better at being a mechanic very quickly and waited until night time when I hacked into the elevator to let me up into the penthouse. Alfred, ever the fool, had left the blueprints lying on the floor, so it was only so easy for me to take them and return them to the Emperor. Another Alfred tantrum ensued, and then the Emperor returned to me with his plan to take down the robots once and for all. His plan, of course, was simply to smash the antenna, and he gave me an alien steroid potion to help me in doing so. I took the alien juice and beat the ever-loving crap out of Alfred's precious antenna. A job well done, the Emperor was very pleased. However, he had one final request of me, to smash Alfred. I, of course, could not have been any happier to accept this offer, as it was the only thing I wanted in my entire life. I then summoned the Raticator, and an epic boss battle ensued. I had to defeat Alfred multiple times as he kept summoning wave after wave of his minions, but at last I finally defeated Alfred. He was at last gone. Good riddance. Alfred was no more, the Raticator had triumphed, and Strangeville was safe from harm. Thanks so much if you actually made it to the end of this. I don't know how many people watch this, let alone actually get the whole way through it. But if you did, thanks so much. This game was like a heap of my childhood. Me and my brother spent like honestly years just playing through it and not really understanding what we were doing, but like just sort of messing around with it. It was pretty. It's a pretty fun game. And there's just so much weird crap in there. And then playing it again now, so many years later, just feels so strange. But I think the nostalgia makes the game maybe better than it is. But either way, it was still a good time. I hope anyone else, had those kind of experiences with their childhood and they can like relate to that. Hopefully that was the reason why you would enjoy this. But yeah, anyway, thanks again, and have a great day.